Down here in life school, some lessons are more pleasant than others. But one thing's for certain, this week's astrology is giving you a pop quiz based on some class within the school of life that you are enrolled in. So consider this your celestial study guide for how you can ace the test. My name is Comet, and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological weather report for the week of February 26th to March 3rd, 2024. But for every other week of astrology, for that matter, you can come to my channel and find your Magic Monday horoscope. They're ready for you, whether you are stepping into a week of astrology and want to understand how these cycles and rhythms may play out within your universe, or reflecting back on a week of astrology and making sense around, oh, that's why that came up. Just know that Magic Monday is here to let you know not just what astrological energies you can expect, but also how you can co-create with the cosmos, how you can identify and seize opportunities for success and growth that the week's astrology beholds, as well as how you can navigate some of the potential pitfalls and challenges that the week of astrology can have in store. And this week's astrology has a mixture of both. Think of being in school. You have different professors, and they have different ways of how they teach, but they do impart their wisdom, just in different ways. We have some Jupiter aspects this week. We have Sun sextile Jupiter, Mercury sextile Jupiter, Mars square Jupiter. And Professor Jupiter definitely teaches a lot. Jupiter within astrology is the planet that is associated with academia and higher learning. But Jupiter is the sort of professor where it turns everything into a life lesson. Jupiter is sort of the professor who takes students under their wing and genuinely takes an interest in mentoring them. Professor Jupiter makes class and learning fun and makes the world feel bigger rather than stagnant. And so when we're taking classes from Professor Jupiter, which all of us are with these Jupiter aspects, there is definitely opportunities this week to grow, to move forward, to create some positive momentum, to be able to leverage optimism, to move your life into a new direction, and to allow yourself to feel optimistic about what life could have in store for you. But that's not the only professor whose classes you're taking. And the thing about taking classes from Professor Saturn, who's the other professor that we're navigating this week, is that Professor Saturn is not the cool professor. Professor Saturn is not Professor Jupiter, who makes everything into a life lesson and is jubilant and funny and makes class fun and makes the world feel bigger and more expansive. Professor Saturn, think a very stark classroom that smells like chalk. Think of a professor who scares you a little bit. Like, definitely when you're in class, you don't say any funny remarks, you don't ask any questions because you don't want to feel dumb. And Professor Saturn is not going to round your grade. Professor Saturn is not going to tolerate any disrespect or any jokes in classes. And from that lens, you do learn a lot with Professor Saturn because you're so scared that you're going to fail the test, but it's a little less pleasant. But Professor Saturn isn't mean for no reason or cruel or anything like that. Professor Saturn just really wants you to learn and wants you to do the hard work to really understand this material, so that when you get that A from Professor Saturn after a long, arduous journey in this class, you deserved it. You worked hard for it. And when Professor Saturn gives you a pat on the back, you just feel this rush around, wow, I earned this. Because that's the thing about Professor Saturn and Saturn in general, as we're navigating some Saturn aspects this week that we'll talk about, is that it definitely doesn't just give out compliments and warmth willy-nilly. It's not mean for no reason. It definitely makes us work for what it is that we want. It'll give us the A at the end of the class if we work hard and if we study and if we stay in line. But Professor Saturn's not going to round your grade. It's not going to listen to your sob story about how your dog ate your homework. And we're working with Professor Saturn because midweek we have a Mercury Cazimi of Sun and Mercury aligning, and then Saturn getting involved. So we have this stellium building in Pisces, and you could feel tested, like quite literally tested in some arena of your life. You could feel like life is really busy. Things feel harder. You're experiencing a lot of resistance. You're being challenged. But with the Jupiter aspects, if you can rise to the challenges, if you can get out of victim mindset and not feel sorry for yourself, if you can be able to learn the material and really study where life is testing you and where the universe is sending you, you are going to emerge from this week's astrology with a big A+ on your paper. But parts of studying for this test are not going to feel so pleasant, especially since you are not just taking classes classes from Professor Jupiter and Professor Saturn this week. We also have Professor Uranus in there. And Professor Uranus would be the professor who's a little kooky, a little out there, but brilliant. Like, think kind of a mad scientist type, where you never know what you're going to get when you go to Professor Uranus's class. Like, sometimes you'll go and you guys will watch a documentary. Sometimes you'll go and they'll rant about some sort of topic for an hour and a half. Sometimes you go and you guys are doing science experiments. It's hard to study for Professor Uranus's tests because I'm sure Professor Uranus doesn't even know what it's going to quiz you on. And so with this week, we also have Venus square Uranus. So there can be unexpected matters that develop around love, around money, around beauty. And these can be positive developments or perhaps more challenging developments, but it's important to just show up for class and see what Professor Uranus has in store. So we will be breaking down this energy so much more in depth, thematically as well as day by day, so that you feel truly empowered to understand how this astrology relates to you and your universe. We have a lot to discuss. Sun, Mercury, and Saturn all aligning in Pisces, Mars squaring Jupiter, Venus squaring Uranus, Sun and Mercury sextiling Jupiter. It's a mixed bag. It's a lot of life lessons, but it really can be a positive week for growth and forward momentum. We'll talk about it. But before we do, take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. As many of you may know, I am currently in Thailand, and I have not had great luck choosing beverages while I'm here in Thailand. Only when I'm on camera. I've had amazing beverages when I'm off camera. I've been drinking a lot of iced Americanos. I've been drinking a lot of iced Thai teas. I've been drinking an insane amount of fruit shakes, honestly. Somebody needs to stop me, but they're so good. But the moment I grab a beverage to be on camera, I've not been pleased with my decisions. And it's not against Thailand. They have lots of great drinks. I just think I'm not in my best decision-making energy currently here. Because this drink, I was feeling optimistic. It says Mavana coffee, organic sparkling coffee. And here's my thought process. I was like, okay, I like sparkling water. I like coffee. Why wouldn't I like sparkling coffee? But it's just kind of weird. Like, I'm just starting to wonder if coffee should be sparkling. These might be experiences that I prefer in different beverages. I prefer sparkling water, coffee. I don't know if I can do the combination, but that's my fault. So at least I know now. Let me know below what you are sipping on to start your week. I'm going to segue into a brief travel update. Go ahead and jump to this timestamp that I'm showing on screen, or go to my description in the timestamp section, click Vibe Check of the Week, and then I'll take you straight into the astrology. But my time here in Thailand is rapidly coming to a close, and soulfully I am not ready to leave in the slightest. Aesthetically I am, because my nails are dropping off like flies, and as a hand talker, it's making me quite self-conscious having my nails looking crazy on camera. So aesthetically I might be ready to go, but soulfully I am not. And most of the other solo travelers that I've met have been here for 2 months, 3 months, indefinitely. And after being here, I completely understand why. Truthfully, if I did not have my birthday party to get home to, I would likely cancel my flight and rebook for a later one. That's how magical my time here has been. Thailand is truly such a special place. The people are so incredibly kind. The nature is astoundingly beautiful. The food is so good. I've been eating so good since I've been here, and I've been feeling really good. And I could sit here and tell you 2,000 anecdotes of just all of the sweet moments, the magical moments, the synchronistic moments, and I still wouldn't even do it justice around how deeply this trip has enlivened me, has revived me, has awakened me, has inspired me. A few of you were asking this in the comments, and by the way, can I just say I love that this community asks the questions that I would probably ask on videos like this, which is on my astrocartography, which is essentially, if you're not familiar with that term, it's the astrology of geography. Basically, for your chart, you have certain power points around the globe where certain energies will be activated by your traveling there. And completely unintentionally, Thailand is my Neptune line. I did not realize that until after the trip was booked. And you may know, if you watch Magic Monday pretty regularly, I have a very complicated relationship with Neptune. It is actually my least favorite planet, which I know Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. I'm not being a true Pisces when I say that, but I've had too many Neptune transits and my chart isn't very Neptunian, so I just am not too comfortable with the energy. And so I'm curious if the universe keeps pulling me to my Neptune lines to heal Neptune. I truly feel like this trip I really healed my relationship with Neptune. I really feel like being here in Thailand, I've been able to activate the highest vibration of Neptune energy around, just feeling deeply inspired, deeply led by spirit. It's been magical. I just feel like I've surrendered a lot of planning, and it's like everywhere I go, just the most synchronistic events happen, and every time I follow a nudge, it works out beautifully. Every time I get a certain instinct around, you should talk to that person or pop into that cafe, something magical happens. I truly feel like I'm being guided by the universe. I will say Neptune energy is pretty floaty, and so while I'm not looking forward to leaving, I do think it'll be nice to have some space and distance to be able to like integrate all that has been swirling within me. I was on this excursion to go to this marine park. It was absolutely so stunning, such a beautiful day, but the magical part didn't happen until the ferry ride back. So I saw these three girls and I just like their energy, and I've really been in this state of just deep trust with the universe around if I get a nudge, I follow it. I got that nudge around talk to these girls and I thought they were all friends, but it turns out they too were fellow solo travelers around my age. One of them was from the UK, one was from Texas, and one was from Germany. And it was really lovely to be able to connect with fellow solo travelers, just because it is daunting, it is scary. I will say it's been one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. I've definitely been very cautious, very aware of my surroundings, but it's felt so empowering to be able to make my own decisions and to be able to have no other option but to figure things out, right? I think it's been such a cool experience, and I don't think I would have been as open to the connections that I found had I been here with somebody else. So I just want to say that just in case anybody was contemplating solo traveling, Thailand is a rather safe place to do so. I would definitely say research the country that you're looking at before booking a trip, but I felt very, very safe. Cautious, but I felt very safe. So anyways, I was talking with these girls about the plights of being solo travelers. The topic of work comes up. They ask me what I do. I say I'm an astrologer. For some reason, in all of Thailand, I happened to find fellow astrology enthusiasts. We spent the rest of the 2-hour ferry ride home just talking about astrocartography and this chart and these aspects and have you dated this sign? Like, it was just so fun. And these girls knew their stuff. They knew their stuff. One gal was on her Sun and Jupiter line here in Thailand. One gal's on her Moon line, and then I'm obviously here on my Neptune line. So it's so fascinating to like share stories around how we felt those planetary energies. And that was incredibly soul nourishing on its own to be able to connect with souls who are as deeply interested in my passion as I am. But it gets even crazier because when they're asking me more about my business, I mention, yeah, I do a weekly horoscope series called Magic Monday. And then something clicks within Tasha's brain. She's a fellow Pisces. Happy birthday, by the way, if you happen to be watching. And she was like, oh my God, I follow you. So wild, so wild. I'm still reeling from all of the wisdom and the kindness and the magic that has been shown to me here in Thailand. So I cannot say enough good about it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our vibe check of the week. So here in Vibe Check of the Week, we essentially demystify the cosmos by taking all of those astrological aspects that I was chatting with you about, from the Sun, Mercury, Saturn pile up in Pisces, to the Jupiter aspects, to Venus square Uranus, Mars square Jupiter. We essentially take all of those energies and put it into a blender and then compare what that feels like to a real life scenario, so that even if you're not familiar with the intricacies of a Mercury Cazimi, you can tune into, oh, I've been in a situation kind of like that, or I know how that feels. I'm not literally saying the situation will unfold. I'm just saying tune into the vibe, tune into the emotions, tune into the dynamics of the following scenario. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. We will say that you are in the market for some new headphones, and you know just the ones that you want. You love the look of them, you're familiar with the brand, and those are the headphones that you want to buy. And you're experiencing a lot of resistance in the pursuit to buy these headphones. Firstly, you tell a friend of yours, oh, I'm gonna buy these new headphones, I'm so excited, and they're like, have you looked at the reviews? I've heard some really bad things about those headphones. Just make sure you're doing your research. And you're like, whatever, I know what it is that I want. And then when you go over to the mall to get the headphones, you get a flat tire. But nothing's gonna get in the way. You're like, I am getting those headphones. So you get the flat tire fixed, you get all the way there. You get there, you're ready to check out the headphones. It turns out that the price that they were advertising was last week's sale price, and now it's $150 more, but you're like, whatever, I just want these freaking headphones. And you go to scan your card and your card's being declined, and you're like, what the heck? I know I haven't hit my limit. What is the deal? Everything is just feeling hard, and you're so stubborn about, no, these headphones, I don't care about the reviews, I don't care about the sound quality, I don't care about the flat tire, I am so fixated on getting to this particular goal that I have decided on. And so finally, after overcoming all of those challenges and those hurdles, you finally purchase the headphones. You use a different card and you're able to buy them. $150 more. You also had to fix your tire. You also had to put it on a card that you don't like using. But alas, the headphones are yours. And then in 2 weeks' time, they break. And then you look back at that day and you're like, oh, all of that resistance was trying to tell me something. And rather than just even stopping, take a moment and be like, this is a lot of resistance, I just continued bulldozing with my plan. I wasn't listening to the ways that the universe was trying to reach me. Because the universe speaks to us in different ways. Sometimes it speaks to us in Jupiterian ways, which are certainly going to be shades of that this week, around with Sun and Mercury sextiling Jupiter, around following a nudge or something feeling expansive, and then we follow that nudge and everything unfurls magically, and you just feel a strong yes sensation from the universe. But sometimes when there's resistance, like things just feel unnecessarily hard. There's just hurdle after hurdle. It's like, is the universe trying to signal something to me? Because I'm not saying to give up. I'm not saying if you want to buy headphones this week, give up at the first person who tells you to check the reviews, as Saturn does speak of endurance. But with this energy, something could feel hard. And sometimes things feel hard because we are being stubborn around, no, it's got to be this way. I've got to do it my way, the hard way. I'm not open to other headphones. I'm going to ignore the universe when it's trying to show me, look, this advert of these headphones that are going to work out much better are here. Or look, if you go into this other electronics store, you could meet the love of your life. Like, you're not paying attention to the universe's signs. Keep in mind it's Pisces season, because you're so locked in around, no, this is my vision. This is what it is that I want. Because one thing's for certain with this week's astrology, with that Saturnian pileup midweek, something could feel hard. And it's not saying give up, but take that moment around, is this resistance trying to show me something? Because there is a temptation to get a little bit more in our ego with Mars square Jupiter around overdoing it, around, no, these headphones will be mine. I will conquer and get to my chosen aim. Even if the universe is trying to say, no, there's an easier way, or there's a better way. Because the energy of the headphones not being what you anticipated or you wanted them to be, or them breaking 2 weeks later, that's the emphasis of Venus square Uranus. There can be financial purchases that do not work out as expected. There can be relationship developments that are out of left field. There can be beauty issues that come up with Venus square Uranus. But it's important when things just feel unnecessarily hard, where you just feel like you are knocking your head against the wall, trying to do the same thing over and over and just feeling resistance at every turn. It's not saying give up, but take that moment to check in around, universe, is there an easier way? Is there something I'm meant to learn here? Because if we keep doing what it is that we've been doing, we keep getting what it is that we've been getting. If we insist on taking the test from the universe the same way every single time, we will continue to get the same test results, right? We will have to repeat the class over and over. So it's not saying give up. It's not saying don't study. Saturn is testing some arena of your life, which we'll get to. But it's more so saying, taking that moment to check in around, could there be an easier way? Is this resistance meant to teach me endurance? Or is this the universe signaling me around, this is a path that feels restrictive, maybe there could be a new way of doing things? Am I operating so much in my ego that I am so dead set around, no, it's gotta be this, that I'm not open to how the universe could have a better plan in store? The divine always has a plan. And this week's astrology, it may be about getting out of your own way in order to uncover it, which sometimes can be a very humbling experience, let me say that. So we will be breaking down this energy day by day. I just want to say that there are timestamps below should you want to jump to a particular day or jump back to a particular day. You're welcome to play with the playback speed in order to adjust my rate of talking with your rate of processing. And I also want to let you know all times that I will mention are PST, as by the time that you are watching this video, I'll be back in the US, which I'm so sad about. But alas, I'm using PST. Keep that in mind as I talk through the times that different aspects are occurring. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Monday, February 26th. On Monday, February 26th, even though the moon enters Libra around 6:29 a.m. and the Virgo full moon is over, I would still absolutely consider us within the full moon in Virgo recovery zone. So let me know below, how was that Virgo full moon for you? Did you feel more of the Saturn themes, restriction, feeling more cramped, having to deal with harsh realities, harsh truths? Or did you feel more of the Jupiter energy, feeling like you're growing, feeling this intrinsic sense of fulfillment around where it is that you are helping? Maybe you felt a mixture of both. That's absolutely woven into this week's astrology as well, with us having the Jupiter and the Saturn aspects happening concurrently. But I would love to know. And just know on Monday, especially with the closing aspect of the Virgo moon being in opposition to Neptune, you could just observe you're starting the day a little more sleepy, a little bit more tired. Even if you did not indulge over the weekend, you could feel a little hungover. You could feel energetically hungover, you could feel emotionally hungover, you could just be feeling drained, you can be feeling blah. Listen, I'll be real with you because that's what I do every single week. When we have Saturn aspects midweek, things can feel a little blah. Okay, like that trip to go get those headphones should not have been so complicated or as hard. Like sometimes life is just so ridiculous around really a flat tire and my card got declined. Like sometimes things are just so annoying. Things can be feeling blah. Things can be feeling hard. Your life can be feeling difficult and cramped and busy. It's just a trip to go get headphones at the mall. Why are you hitting challenge after challenge? Why is everything feeling 10 times harder? That's sort of part of the week when we have harsh Saturn. So I just want to say that firstly, but also just recovering from the full moon, sometimes we just are craving to go a little bit slower. And with the moon leaving Virgo and now entering Libra, the focus is how can I serve to how can I connect? And with moon and Libra, you may find that you are craving balance. Again, whatever that Virgo full moon took out of you, there can be a call to kind of balance it around. If you're working all weekend, it's like, I need a rest. If you were alone all weekend, maybe you're like, I need to be around people, I need some social interaction. There could just be a call to balance our scales wherever we're feeling that things have gotten imbalanced. And there also could be a focus towards our connections and our one-to-one partnerships. And with the Libra moon trining Pluto in Aquarius, this is an astrological reminder that there could be so much power within connections and that every single person is a conduit for the divine. This is woven into the vibe check around your friend who is like, hey, I heard some weird stuff about those headphones. Maybe you do your due diligence, maybe look into the reviews, because oftentimes universe can speak to us via other people. And listen, we don't always love unwarranted advice, especially if we have our heart set on something. Oftentimes when we're like, la, 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 I don't want to hear your advice, we are literally cutting off a lifeline to the divine. Of course, it's important to have discernment. I'm not saying listen to every single thing that people tell you. There's power in other people's shared experiences. There's wisdom in other people's shared experiences. And it's not always pleasant to have to listen to advice, especially if you're just like, this is not what I'm trying to hear, or this does not relate to my situation. But you never know when that piece of advice, it's going to age like a fine wine. Some advice ages like milk, and sometimes there's advice that you receive in the moment and you're like, that person doesn't know anything. And then in 2 weeks' time when yours breaks, you're like, ooh, maybe she was right. I should have looked at the reviews. And with this airy energy, allowing yourself to be above it, not taking it personally around if someone is sharing, hey, this is what I know, or this is what's true within my experience. I'm not judging you. I'm not attacking you. Like observing where it is that you can be like air and be above it around, can I just contemplate this person's perspective? Maybe it applies to my situation. Maybe it doesn't. But can I just genuinely hear them out? Because that's the purpose of connection. And I think it's so apt that Saturn exalts in Libra. And just in case you're not aware of dignity, essentially every planet has places that it likes to be in, and Saturn likes to be in Libra. And I think this makes sense with Libra in many different facets, the element of commitment, the element of consequences, so on and so forth. But another dimension of this is just the power that can come from other people's lived experiences, the wisdom that can come from other people's lived experiences. You all know that I'm big on my mentors, and it's so fun funny actually, because 2/26 is one of my mentors' birthdays. So happy birthday, Nick, if you happen to be watching. It's also my sister's birthday. I'm telling you, 2/26 is a very, very special day. Whenever I meet somebody who's born on 2/26, I'm like, you're going to be significant to me because it's a day away from my birthday, as well as a lot of really important people within my life have 2/26 as a birthday. So it's a special day. But one thing I just want to say about both my sister as well as my mentors, that they're very wise and they're, older than me. They have lots of wisdom to dispel. The interesting thing about growing up is that there's so much advice that people who are older than you tell you, that just part of being young and just feeling invincible, like nothing can hurt you, you very much have a la la la, like, yeah, whatever, like I won't be like that. But when you get older, you realize, oh, there's actually a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of value to that. That advice that at the time I was like, that doesn't apply to me, it aged like fine wine. A lot of advice does. But a lot of times we block it out because it's not what we're trying to hear. We're so dead set, I want to get these headphones, so I'm not going to listen to the sage advice that I should maybe do more research. We take it personally. But the energy of air is to rise above and to be above it. Around, can I just contemplate that this person has different shared experiences than me? Maybe they've been on this planet for longer than me. They've maybe accumulated more wisdom or more mastery in different arenas than I. Can I take this space and time to listen to the wisdom that they have to share without feeling like it's a direct attack on what I know to be true about my own experience? With this week's astrology, with Mars square Jupiter, there could be a danger around just being so locked in and not observing the way that the universe is trying to speak to you via other people. Via your coworker saying, hey, have you tried it this way? It might be way easier. Or via your partner saying, hey, I noticed this about your car. Are you going to get that fixed? Like noticing those things that it's like, this is not what I'm trying to hear, but taking that moment to be like, could there be wisdom? Could this be a way that the universe is trying to get my attention? So definitely listen to what other people have to say, hear them out, but know that Monday is honestly a great day just for anything having to do with communication. It could be a great day around research. It could be a great day around brainstorming. It could be a great day around connection. And again, just honoring that people have a different walk of life than yours. They have different experiences than yours, and finding that balance around what it is that you know to be true or what it is that you feel deeply, while also taking the space to contemplate the other side of the scale around what have your experiences shown you. That's why we're here, is to connect and to share. So listening cap on Monday. And what I will say, Mars square Jupiter is building to happen very early on Tuesday, and you'll likely feel this on Monday. You could be feeling very energized. Like, for some of you, I feel like there's full moon recovery, so please be gentle if the full moon was a lot for you. Luckily, every lunation varies in intensity based on what it's activating within our chart. Some of you may need the day to kind of recover, but some of you, especially with Mars square Jupiter building, you can really have this energy of motivation. You could be feeling more energized. My only word of caution would just be mindful of not biting off more than you can chew. Sometimes when we have Mars square Jupiter, we can agree to too much around, yes, I'll do this and do this, because we feel more motivated, we feel more excited. This energy reminds me of when I used to be a yoga instructor and I would sequence classes, and I would always notice if I sequenced classes while I was drinking coffee, so in the morning, I would get way too optimistic about what my students would have the bandwidth to be able to take on that class. I would just be drinking all this coffee, just so excited around, then we'll go into hurdles pose, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that. And then in class, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was not seeing the world clearly. Like, everybody has a finite amount of energy, and we have a finite amount of time. And Saturn aspects midweek make that very apparent. And so I'm not saying you need to temper that excitement or that optimism around the limitations of your physical body with it squaring Mars, or with the amount that you could physically take on in regards to your work week. But all I'm saying is just temper that Jupiterian optimism with the Saturn realism. On Tuesday, February 27th, at 12:30 a.m., we have Mars in Aquarius squaring Jupiter in Taurus. And with this energy, there's definitely a spirit of optimism around our ability to conquer and get what it is that we want, which is a good feeling. Like, we gotta give it to you within the vibe check. You did not let these obstacles hinder you. You were so focused around, this is what I want, I will win. I will win those headphones that I want, that you were willing to keep drawing energy, keep overcoming the challenges, no matter what, at all costs. That is what it is that I want, and I will have it. I will get what it is that I want. And you got to admire that. It's important to highlight that this square is happening in fixed signs, and fixed signs can be very stubborn. And sometimes we can make things harder for ourselves when we are so insistent around it must be this way. No, I will not wait another week. No, I will not consider other headphones. It's got to be this way. And again, there's so much beauty of fixed energy. It can be very consistent, very dependable, very loyal, but there also could be an energy around being a bit hard-headed. Especially with Mars and Aquarius. Listen, fixed air, okay? Aquarius energy can be very, very stubborn, especially when it has its mind made up. Like, you gotta hand it to the Mars square Jupiter. You kept pulling in the motivation around, no, I will get it what it is that I want. I don't care if it takes all day. I don't care if I have to use 12 different cards. I don't care if I have to get all the new tires. I will get it what it is that I want. And from that lens, Mars square Jupiter can be nice. If you've been feeling stagnant, if you've been really wanting to break free, Mars square Jupiter can be this energy around being able to create some momentum. It's important to know that with the square to Jupiter, we're not necessarily being realistic about all that the journey will have in store, but at least we're moving. At least we're taking action. At least we're feeling motivated to take action. Maybe we're overextending ourselves. Maybe we're not listening to the sage wisdom or the ways that the universe is trying to get our attention. But what I will say about Mars square Jupiter is there's definitely courage codes within this week's astrology. You're definitely advocating for what it is that you want. You're going after what it is that you want. Just be mindful not to be overzealous as you do so. It's so funny because I'm telling you guys, it's so interesting filming Magic Monday because sometimes I just feel the energy I'm talking about so baked into my reality as I film. As you may see, I'm no longer in the jungle like I was last week. And when I was booking this place, I saw the reviews. Okay, I will say I did read the reviews and I kind of ignored them. There's a lot of bad words. There's a lot of people saying it's really, really loud. There's this issue, there's that issue. But I was very much like, la, 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 like I don't want to hear this because I was so smitten by the listing photos. Again, this is my fatal flaw. You'll observe that I do this quite a bit when it comes to the drinks I choose. Oftentimes I just get drawn in by the aesthetic of the matter. And there was this beautiful dragonfly art display on the wall that I was like, oh, I just love that. I need to stay here. I was like, it won't be that loud and this won't be an issue and this won't be an issue. It's very loud and those issues that they were talking about are absolutely issues. And the saddest part of it all is that there's no dragonfly art display. Again, this place isn't horrible, but I wanted to see the dragonflies. And I was so stubborn around this is what I want. I want the dragonflies. That with the square to Jupiter, I was not listening to other people's reviews, right? Their lived experiences. They've stayed there. I have not. And I did not take into account that they were telling the truth. Why would they not be? I don't know why I was so hard-headed about it. And I still proceeded with booking. And there's not even dragonflies. And it's likely very loud. So I do apologize for that. But sometimes with Mars square Jupiter, we could be so dedicated around, I want the dragonflies. I want these headphones, that sometimes the universe can be like, I don't know if that's the best path, or have you read this review? But we can get so in our own way when we are so stuck around doing things our way. Because like I said, we're in Pisces season. Because when we're swimming in these Piscean waters, it's important to be humbled by the divine and just knowing that the divine knows better than you. Okay, even if you have a great plan, even if you're very wise and very accomplished and very experienced, which I know a lot of you are, okay, even the most beautifully concocted plan that you can create will still pale in comparison to what the universe can dream up for you or concoct for you. And sometimes that plan can unfurl in really beautiful ways around those strong confirming yeses, around those experiences that light your soul on fire, via those people that you meet that are just amplifiers and expanders for you that make you feel so inspired to be on the path that you are on. Sometimes the universe speaks to you in that and helps you uncover its plan via ways like that. Sometimes it speaks to you in terms of resistance around, I thought this was going to be the path for me, but now that I'm in it, I'm just feeling a lot of blockages. This is not feeling aligned. That's also how the universe could be rerouting you to a timeline that's a lot more aligned. Even if at the moment you're like, but I wanted the dragonflies, but I wanted the headphones. The universe could be like, but the headphones are going to break in 2 weeks, or but they took down the dragonfly display for some reason, but go ahead, book away. You can learn the hard way. So it's just important to have that moment of humility, to be able to laugh at yourself, to be able to laugh at life, and even just kind of play with life around, okay, universe, I'm getting a lot of resistance here. What could be a better plan? Would there be accommodations that would be a little bit quieter? Or would there be headphones that would be a better match for my needs? To even be in that humility standpoint, it's taking ourselves out of this bravado around, maybe I don't know it all. Maybe I am but a student in life school. Maybe I am just a page when it comes to the tarot deck. Again, you're the King of Wands, Queen of Wands, whatever you want to be, King of Cups, Queen of Cups, whatever you want to be. You are that in many arenas, but it's also important to honor in other arenas of life school, we are but a page. We might be quite experienced in certain lessons and novices in others. And it's just important this week not to feel like we know better than the universe, because the universe will humble us so quickly. So while we're navigating Tuesday, there certainly can be that Mars square Jupiter energy around overcoming the challenges at all costs and overestimating how much it is that we can take on and being stubborn. But there's absolutely other shades within Tuesday's astrology around really being able to work together and furthermore, feeling more excited by other people's excitement. Like, have you ever had that where somebody else's excitement is contagious, where all of a sudden you're feeling more motivated, more passionate about this work project, or maybe your partner is all fired up about a home improvement project that you were feeling mad about, but then you're seeing their excitement and you're like, wait, this could be fun, right? This could be collaborative. I love how excited you are about this. That's kind of reflected with the Libra moon trining Venus and trining Mars, which is about feeling fired up by connection, but also being fired up by other people's passion, feeling motivated by other people's motivation. And the Libra moon will trine Mars around 4:51 a.m. So it would be a great morning. I mean, Tuesday, it's Mars Day. Would be a great morning for a workout class, but with the energy of the Libra moon trining Mars in Aquarius, take a group fitness class, or if you have a workout buddy, take your workout buddy to the gym. It would be a great day to move your body while also connecting. Having a workout friend is a life hack as far as I'm aware, because it ensures that you are seeing these individuals at a regular interval, and it's a little bit more of a healthy way to hang out rather than, going out to restaurants or going out to drink or what have you. And it also keeps you accountable to show up because you're meeting your friend there. So just some food for thought, okay, if you wanted to schedule a Tuesday morning workout class. And with the Libra moon trining its ruler around 10:22 a.m. would be a great day to be a purveyor and a cultivator of beauty, whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's just taking that moment to elevate your morning routine, playing some music while you put on makeup, maybe it's getting your nails done if they're looking crazy like mine, maybe it's taking that moment to light candles before you eat dinner, just finding those moments to make things a little bit more harmonious. Like, those little actions elevate something that feels very mundane to an event or to something artful or to something full of intention. And this too is a form of magic. It's Pisces season. This is a season to believe in your own magic, because when it comes to rituals, sure, there's all sorts of brilliant mentors who share time-honored traditions, and that can be such an amazing resource for how to activate some of those rituals within your universe. But what I also want to say is that the way that you conduct life is a ritual. You can elevate anything to a ritual so long as you do it with intention. You could do what feels right for you. I love listening to the rituals that I hear about. Like, one of my clients, when she's putting her body wash on every day in the shower, she just says affirmations about the part of her body that she is scrubbing. Another one of my clients visualizes before she takes a sip of water just what it is that she wants to call in and then sip it. Don't feel like you have to follow the rules if you're looking for ways to inject more rituals or more magic into your universe. Obviously, respect wisdom, respect crafts, respect time-honored traditions with all the Saturn energy, and with the moon in Libra, there can be lots of powerful tips and advice and tricks that we can learn from others. But what I also want to say with the energy of Pisces Sun is also honoring what feels right for you. You can elevate anything into a ritual so long as you do it with intentions. And like, just as other people are conduits for the divine, you are a conduit yourself. So honoring and flowing with what feels right for you around how you can inject a little bit more mindfulness and a little bit more magic into your day-to-day. And it just feels like with the energy of Libra moon trining Venus, there could be something Venusian that you're calling into your experience. Artful decoration of food can be a ritual, or getting ready could be a ritual. Listening to music before you go into a meeting can be a ritual. Finding those little moments of more beauty and more loveliness can be a ritual for life itself. So just honoring that should you find it. And I do want to say, the moon's void for a long portion on Tuesday and for a long portion on Wednesday as well. So definitely seize the morning time on Tuesday as well as Monday to take on a lot of tasks. But that's why I was saying with Mars square Jupiter, you don't need to do all the things. So seize that energy, but be realistic. Like in my yoga sequencing example, this would be, maybe you don't have to do hurdler's pose and flamingo pose and this and that. Maybe we can take on a challenge. Maybe our challenge of the week is hurdler's pose. impose, but let's be realistic around what it is that we can and cannot take on this week, because there's definitely an energy on Monday. For some of us, we could be feeling more motivated, want to say yes to all the things around I could do this and I could do this, whether you're feeling that socially, around the house, signing up to do a lot of tasks, or at work, signing up to do a lot of tasks. There's just this feeling that our energy is going to extend forever, that we can keep pulling from our resources over and over and over again, no matter what obstacle comes in our way. But some obstacles are coming. So I'm not saying this in a limiting way. I'm just saying have your challenges that you're focused upon this week, and just be realistic with how much you can get done, especially when you consider that the moon's void for a lot of Tuesday and a lot of Wednesday as well. On Tuesday, I would just say in the evening time, with the Libra moon opposing Chiron, sometimes with Chiron stuff, there can just be ouches. There could be ouches coming up within your relationship. Some of you, I'm just feeling this energy with the Saturn. It's not so much going to be a certain life situation that feels hard, but someone's just going to feel like to be a Debbie Downer. Maybe they're having a hard week at work, or you're trying to be excited about going to this new restaurant and they're just like bah humbug about it. Like, you could just be feeling this energy around resistance around your relationship that's making you not feel seen or you not feel valued, around, dang, I just wish you could feel my excitement around going to this new restaurant, rather than seeking to rain on my parade by naming all of the reasons why we shouldn't go check out this new restaurant today. Like, there just could be sensations where, whether somebody's critical or just being a little bit more negative or just a little bit more serious, somebody's just kind of raining on your parade. And with the opposition to Chiron, there could just be this energy around, dang, I just wish I felt valued and seen and heard. Like I said, sometimes people are amplifiers for excitement, or that excitement can be contagious. And sometimes it can be such a buzzkill when you're super excited about something. You're like, babe, I found this new restaurant, I'm so excited. And they just do not meet you on that frequency at all. It can be such a letdown. You're like, oh, I was excited. I just wish you could amplify, this passion that I'm feeling at this particular moment, or this excitement around it. It can make us feel not seen or not heard. But what I want to say, when there's Saturn energy, life can just feel hard and restrictive. Try not to be too judgmental if you do observe that. Again, two sides of the scale. You never know what it is that people are navigating with, or what their Saturn lessons are. Sometimes things can just be kind of heavy with Saturn energy. So try not to internalize how your partners are treating you or how your friends are treating you. Everybody is fighting their own Saturnian battles. Let me say that. So on Wednesday, February 28th, this is the day of heavy Saturn. And the thing about Saturn is that we're always enrolled in a class from Professor Saturn. Now, how hard the class is, or how pivotal it is for our major or purpose here on planet Earth, that differs. Not every Saturn transit is as challenging as others are, and thank goodness for that. But there always is something that Saturn is pressurizing, or something that Saturn is asking us to think long-term around, or something that Saturn is asking us to do our due diligence around. And to figure that out, you'll just want to go to my Saturn in Pisces video to figure out what it is testing within your universe. But just know, if you're not sure what lesson of life school from Professor Saturn you're enrolled in, activations like this can make it quite apparent around, oh, this is where I'm meant to be learning. This is where it is that I am exerting mastery. And again, such a delicate balance. I'm not saying give up at the first obstacle. It's just taking that moment around, rather than being hard-headed, be like, this needs to be the way. Taking that moment to be humble around, universe, could there be a better way? Could there be a better pair of headphones for me to pursue? Could there be a better place to stay in that is not incredibly loud outside? Could there be? And being open for what could come through. Even if the way that the universe gets your attention isn't the most pleasant. Because let's be real about Saturn, especially with the Mercury Cazimi and then Saturn also involved, there's a message coming out. Now that could be coming out from within, that could be coming out from somebody telling you something, but there's a harsh truth. And we got previews of it during the Virgo Full Moon, so it could be extending there, but there's a harsh truth that we are realizing, whether the call is coming inside the house or outside the house. And there's a strong danger this week to hang up the call or not listen to the caller. Be like, la 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 la, because the universe whispers and then it screams. So if it didn't reach you with the friend who was telling you to check the reviews, it's going to try to reach you with the flat tire. It's going to try to reach you with the card. It's going to try to reach you. And the more that you push through around, no, it's got to be this, the more that it gets a little bit more dramatic every single time. It's taking that moment to observe, where am I experiencing a lot of resistance? Because there's definitely a side to Saturn that's about endurance and working towards towards something and being the best that we could be and chiseling the most potential that we are capable to do so. And when you're in that Saturn energy, it'll be hard, but there's this energy around where it is that you are learning, where it is that you are rising to the occasion. That's quite different than the energy of Saturn, where it's experiencing all this resistance and still pushing through because you feel like you know better than the universe and it's trying to get your attention. Like I said, this accommodation, it's fine, I'm fine, but it's just not ideal. And it has not been a great ideal situation, just many different aspects of it. One of which was that during check-in, it was check-in time, and I was just waiting in the lobby. I think it was 2.5 hours I ended up waiting, just waiting and waiting and waiting for my Airbnb host to get back to me because I didn't say how to get in or anything of that nature. So I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and luckily there was a Wi-Fi code. So I go on TikTok and I watch this story time. You guys might have heard of it because it's gone mega viral and it relates to this astrology. I'll get to that in a moment. But there is this story time of this woman. She titles it, "Who the F Did I Marry?" And she talks about her experience, and I can't even summarize it. You need to go listen to it yourself. She ended up marrying this compulsive liar, and it is just such a wild, harrowing tale. And she's such a great storyteller. She's an Aquarius. Definitely go watch it. It's like 47 parts. That honestly, even though I was waiting 2.5 hours with all of my bags like sweaty and gross and just wanting to get into my Airbnb, that honestly made the time pass pretty quickly listening to this individual's story. But within this story, she's talking about this person that she dated that she found out was a compulsive liar. And I found it fascinating that on the way to the first date with this individual, she got a flat tire. And there was all of these different things that now recounting this story, she was like, now I see that was God trying to get my attention. And it's not saying every time there's a challenge in life that it's the universe saying, no, not this path. But if there's just a lot of resistance around why is this so hard? Why is this such an uphill battle? Maybe there can be a different path, or maybe just taking yourself out of the scenario for a second, just even contemplate, universe, is there something you're wanting me to see here? What am I not seeing? It's stepping out of that mentality around, I know best and I know all there is to know, and being able to tune into, could this resistance be trying to show me something? Because in that story time, she just talks about, the flat tire. There's so many things that happen within her life. She now realizes that God was trying every single way to get her attention, but she was so dead set around wanting to be married and wanting to start a family and wanting to do it with this person that she wasn't tuning to the red flags, into the signs, into the symbols that were popping up within her world. And so yes, with Mercury Saturn, your mentality could be a little negative on Wednesday. And like I said with the day prior, other people can seem more negative. They could see more Debbie Downers. People could have more constructive criticism for you. But with the energy of Saturn, really taking that moment to contemplate, could there be wisdom in this? Let me step outside of my own perspective to be able to contemplate, could there be wisdom in what this person is sharing with me? Even if it's coming out quite harshly. I call this my ouch aspect, because it could be the harsh truths, whether it's from within around this person's story isn't adding up, or gosh, God is giving me a lot of roadblocks if I've supposedly met the love of my life, right? Or why am I having so many roadblocks around the headphones? Or why are all these reviews so negative around these accommodations? I really want this beautiful dragonfly art. Like with Mercury Saturn, sometimes we could read something or hear something or realize something that's not pleasant. We would rather avoid it, honestly. It's Pisces season. We'd rather swim away from anything that we're not trying to see right now. But just knowing that if we ignore the universe's whispers, they turn into screams. So really just taking that moment to contemplate, what could the universe be showing me? Even if it's unpleasant, even if I don't want to be hearing or seeing or dealing with this right now, what could I be learning from it? How could I be humble enough to be open to a different way of doing things or a different perspective or what have you? And I do want to say, I know I've been quite negative on Saturn, but the gift of Saturn is that some of you can absolutely find that a lot of your hard work is being rewarded. And this, yes, could show up in a material way. I feel like for some of you, you might be presenting an idea at work that you've been working really hard on. You might be visible or talking about something that you have built and being seen through this lens of authority and having to rise up to the challenge in that regard. But I also feel with this happening in Pisces, there also just could be an illumination of the rewards of the spiritual push-ups that you've been doing or the spiritual work that you've been doing around where it is that you are learning from the lessons so that you do not have to repeat them, the ways that you are rising above challenging scenarios that used to have broken you, the ways that you're dealing with the challenges and the obstacles with grace. This too is a sign of growth. It's not just when amazing things happen, it's also how it is that you regulate and navigate when challenging circumstances are occurring. What I'm seeing within my mind's eye when I tap into this energy is those wall height checker things that people will put within the doorway. Have you seen those where they measure how tall the kids are getting, and there's just this really interesting visual depiction around their growth? Wednesday's astrology speaks to that from a spiritual level, because oftentimes with material rewards and work, we can quantify it in very material, physical ways around, I was VP and now I'm president. I made this much and now I'm making this much. Spiritual growth is a little bit harder to quantify, which is why it's important to tune in every so often. And yes, it's lovely to learn from the positive examples of life and the things that are going well, but with the Saturn energy, another fascinating metric to tune into your own growth can be how it is that you navigate the challenges of life, the hurdles of life. Maybe 2 years ago, if that headphones situation went on, you would have freaked out if you got a flat tire and cried and sobbed and the whole day was ruined. And now, because of life and experience and wisdom, you're just like, okay, flat tire, not ideal, but I've got this, I can handle this. And maybe that's growth for you. Maybe there's a challenging scenario or some harsh feedback at work that 6 years ago would have had you spiraling, but now it's like you've built so much resilience within that you're able to take it on and not take it personally. This too is growth. Maybe your partner mentioned something about their ex and you a couple years ago would have freaked out the rest of the evening, but now you can just be like, okay, that was then, they're not with that person any longer, they're with me. This too is growth. I want you to appreciate the emotional and spiritual growth that you've put in, and not just how it is that you behave when things are going magic and synchronistically and amazingly, but also how it is that you rise up to the challenging circumstances of your life. If a couple years ago something would have sent you spiraling, and now you have the tools to regulate your emotions, to take it in stride, to handle it as you see fit, this too is growth. I don't want to deal with this, but I will rise to the occasion. Like, that's the energy of Saturn, is rising to the occasion. Whether it's enhanced elements of leadership, enhanced elements of your wisdom, enhanced elements of your growth, there's just this energy around, even if it's unpleasant, even if it takes a lot of work, even if it's just one of those annoying life things that you're like, why must life involve noisy roads? Why must life involve headphones that break in 2 weeks? Like, why is life so annoying sometimes? That can absolutely be Saturn energy, but also appreciating your growth just as a human who is rising to the occasion of the challenges that your life is currently presenting you. And the last element of this Saturn buildup that I want to bring forward is that God, the universe, the divine, whatever it is that you want to call it, it helps those who help themselves. It can be very natural in Pisces season to succumb to these feelings of why me, or being the victim to our circumstances. And listen, with Saturn energy, sometimes things suck. They're hard, they're challenging to deal with. But it's important to know that the universe, God, the divine, it helps those who help themselves. The first energetic I tapped into when I tapped in this week's astrology is the drowning man parable. You may have heard of this at church or something of that nature. It's very common, but the parable goes loosely like this. There was a man drowning. I think there was a flood coming in, and he kept affirming, God's got me. God's gonna rescue me. Because that's the energy of Pisces season. It's like, the divine's got me. Even if it's frustrating in the moment, I have to trust that this too shall pass. I have to trust that this happened for a reason. I have to trust that something better, more aligned is coming in. I have to trust in something bigger than myself. But within this drowning man parable, he keeps affirming, God's got me, God's got me, God's got me. And a boat comes and tries to rescue him, and he's like, nope, God's got me. Another boat comes and he's like, nope, God's got me. Helicopter comes and he's like, nope, God's got me. And he ends up drowning. And in heaven, he talks to God and he's like, why didn't you save me? I trusted you so much and you did not save me, and I drowned within that flood. And God said, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. You just didn't take it. That's the thing about being in life school, is that, you know, God, universe, source energy, it's not going to do your push-ups for you. It's going to challenge you, right? That's why we are humans. And it's not going to be the energy around, take all my challenges away, just levitate me out of this challenging circumstance. It's really around, how can you take the resources that I'm giving you in order to to get yourself in a better scenario. And not feeling like you are a victim to your circumstances is going to be important this Pisces season. Because listen, no one can throw, from a Pisces placement myself, no one can throw a pity party like Pisces placements, okay? And because Pisces really creates their own world, they can really poison their own waters when they succumb to thinking around everything's against me and the universe hates me and God isn't here with me because it's making everything harder. That can poison and muddy your own waters, your own thinking, when you allow yourself to succumb to that sort of mentality. We all will have negative thoughts every so often, especially on Wednesday. We have Mercury on Saturn. We're seeing things very realistically. We're seeing things very starkly. It's not the most pleasant energy. I'm not saying you have to be positive Pollyanna and not think anything negative, but it's important what thoughts you are allowing to grab hold and take root, because they can be extra powerful during Pisces season. So if you allow yourself to feed into everything's against me and the universe hates me, it can continue to build its power within your own mind, versus being able to acknowledge, okay, this is not pleasant, but I've got this. I could be a victor of my circumstances. I am not a victim of my circumstances. You can acknowledge that things are hard, but also while you're acknowledging that, acknowledge that you are strong. And even as hard and as limiting and as challenging as the circumstances can be, remember, you're walking with the divine, and that doesn't mean it's going to levitate you and take you out of any sort of challenging circumstance. But if you ask for a sign, if you ask for wisdom, if you ask for humility, you know, the universe could send you a boat or a helicopter to get you out of that scenario. But it's important that you have to take the help that is offered to you, or take the signs, take the symbols, however that shows up within your universe. As I highlighted on Tuesday, the moon's void pretty much all day on Wednesday until it enters Scorpio at 7:09. Again, with the Saturn energy, things are hard, things are challenging. I feel some of us are going to be in a work task that just is way harder than it should be. It's like you just have to print these brochures, but the printer's not working and the ink looks weird. Like, tasks could just be taking longer. Everything feels harder. It should just be a simple trip to the mall. Why is there so much resistance? So again, it's just learn to play with the resistance around universe. I'm seeing a lot of resistance. Could there be an easier way to go with this? And just knowing that you might be feeling blah. That's the energy of Saturn. You could just be feeling blah. You could be feeling less motivated. Everything could be feeling harder. You could just be feeling a lot of resistance. When the moon enters Scorpio that evening, it builds to square Pluto. So your emotional landscape definitely can feel intense. Things can feel black or white. That's why I'm saying being mindful around extreme thinking around this is the worst. This always happens to me. The universe hates me. Like, really settling into these black and white extreme experiences of your life is just going to be important to guard against. And also with the energy of Scorpio moon squaring Pluto, you could just be feeling things intensely. You could be feeling more paranoid. You can be fearing the worst about certain scenarios. And like I was saying last week, with a water sun and a water moon, you can definitely be feeling every shade of emotion very intensely. And I know it sucks sometimes when you're experiencing the more challenging emotions on that scale, but it's important to remember that that creates the nuance and the depth to equally feel the really positive emotions on that scale as well. Being able to plunge into our depths does create the space for us to ascend to our height. So just allowing the extreme emotions that can be surfacing with the Scorpio moon squaring Pluto. On Thursday, February 29th, happy leap day. How magical is that? That we have an extra day this February. And it's almost like the cosmos just knew that we needed a little sprinkle of magic for this extra day of the month, as we have Mercury sextile Jupiter. Mercury is not dignified in Pisces, and it's also now separating from its conjunction to Saturn and its conjunction to Mercury, the Mercury Cazimi that happened the day prior, which could have been filled with some unpleasant epiphanies or just acknowledgement around what in our life needs to be improved or fixed or worked on or what have you. And with Mercury Saturn, there can be this temptation around sinking and descending into very negative thinking. This always happens to me. The universe hates me. Why is everything so hard for me? But with the sextile to Jupiter, there's this opportunity to reach for more optimistic or more expansive thinking around, hey, there's certain realizations, there's certain arenas of my life that are not pleasant, but I'm going to choose how it is that I frame these situations within my life. Because even though Mercury is not dignified in Pisces, there is a certain magic to it. In that, like I said, Pisces, they create their own world. It speaks to the very energetic experience of life. And our mind and our mindset can be a very powerful tool for how it is that we process and categorize our own experiences. And if you are looking at everything through a particular lens, you are more likely to seek out intentionally that sort of data set or things that confirm that belief that you hold. So if you believe the universe hates me, the world is so hard, everything's against me, you will be more likely to focus upon and to an energetic level, maybe even attract things that affirm that confirm that to you around, yep, more proof the universe hates me. Yep, more proof that everything's harder for me. I want to be so clear. I'm not saying ignore all the negative and if something bad happens that you called it in. I'm just saying being intentional on how it is that you're framing experiences. Is it that the universe hates you, or is it just life and an unpleasant scenario and you are strong enough to be able to rise above? It's important when we think about Mercury being the mind. This is a strange analogy, but stay with me. What I'm seeing within my mind's eye, when we think of Mercury being the mind, I'm seeing a fishbowl within your mind. And it's important the sort of water that you cultivate within your fishbowl of your mind. Because if your fish are in dirty water, right, muddy water, where we're just poisoning our mind around this always happens to me, this is the worst, it's not going to be clear enough for the fish to be able to see through and look at our experience around, oh, there's an opportunity here, we should connect with this person. It's so muddy, we're so locked in our own negativity that it's hard to even see or be aware for where the universe could be guiding us. And so with Mercury sextile Jupiter, it's not taking away all of the challenging circumstances, all of the dirtiness within our fish tank, but it's basically saying, how can we purify some of this? How can we make it less of a story? How can we choose a vibration or a way of mentally processing the situation that makes us feel more capable and more empowered and not like we are a victim to our circumstances at this present moment in time? And so sextiles are a softer flow of energy. So I don't want you to feel like, we're all going to win the lottery and meet the love of our life and all of this wild, crazy things are going to happen. But there's this energy around being able to at least tune into what at least is going right, or we're starting to have gratitude around something, or we have a new idea, or our thought processing is a little bit more optimistic and expansive. There's movement happening because with Mercury Saturn, there was an ouch. There was something that came out, whether it was criticism of some sort, or a comment that somebody told you, or an epiphany from spirit that you're like, ooh, yeah, okay, that's something I definitely need to acknowledge, and that does not make me feel comfy to realize. It's not always pleasant, but with the sextile to Jupiter, it is allowing us to grow, whether it's to improve within our craft, whether it's allowing us to move into a new chapter within our universe. There's something unpleasant that's weighing on our minds this week, but with the sextile to Jupiter, there's equally this acknowledgement around, this is helping me grow. This is helping me move forward. This is helping me learn, right? We learn the most, at least my experience in school. I learned the most from the toughest professors, right? Because I was rising to the challenge that they were setting. And with the sextile to Jupiter, it's just acknowledging this is not a pleasant lesson, but I am learning from it and I'm progressing because of it. And luckily for us, because we had that all-day void moon the day prior, or nearly all-day void moon, Thursday is looking pretty productive. Yes, we're still swimming in the depths of the Scorpio moon, and with the Pisces sun, we're feeling everything. But with the Scorpio moon trining the Pisces sun, we're definitely in the mood to want to share, to want to mentor, to want to teach, to want to give back. This is the waning gibbous moon phase, also known as the disseminating moon phase, which is associated with taking the epiphanies, the ahas of the full moon and being able to share it, which is why this lunar phase is associated with storytelling. So there can be a nudge around wanting to give advice or to write about your experiences or tell a TikTok story time about it. There's so much value in being able to share what it is that we've learned around, hey, I went through this unpleasant experience. If me telling my story can help one person from making the same mistakes that I did, then that is worth me telling my story. Like, there is a part of that interwoven within this week's astrology around wanting to share advice or teach what it is that you've learned, take somebody at work under your wing, or there just can be a nudge around just wanting to socialize and connect, and perhaps more so in a deep way with the energy of the Scorpio moon. It's giving very productive. I will say around 4:53 p.m. you might be in the mood to go home and stop working with the Scorpio moon opposing Jupiter. You could be more inclined to want to go to happy hour. You could be more prone to excess. You could be feeling more lazy. And then I swear this keeps getting crooked. This is Saturn. Are you kidding? Ugh. I'm so sorry if this is crooked, guys. I'll be back in my typical set next week. I'm just doing the best I can. But alas, what I want to say is that evening is kind of funny. We have two planets that are not comfortable meeting up in a harmonious trine. We have the moon, which is not dignified in Scorpio, trining Mercury, which is not dignified in Pisces. This to me feels like the sort of intimate nonsense of language that you and your partner use after a long time of being together and just understanding how the other person's mind works, where to outsiders' perspectives, they're like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you just developed this language of your own and it's very intimate, it's very you two. It doesn't make sense, but it means something to the two of you. That's what this astrology is giving. So this would be a great time to connect with someone deeply. So whether you have that language with your partner or your best friend, or maybe when you're with your loved ones, you don't have a language of your own, this could also just be a really great day for intimate, deep talks. Just be mindful the Scorpio moon squares Mars, which sometimes can make us more passionate or more easily aggravated. Again, miscommunications could be more likely as Mercury is not dignified in Pisces. There also is something coming through around the creating of a camaraderie of sorts, around venting. Like maybe with your coworkers around, can you believe our boss did this? Or maybe calling your best friend and be like, I saw this person doing this. Like those sort of conversations where, yes, with the moon not dignified and with Mercury not dignified and, you know, Saturn energy, things are hard, things can suck sometimes, but at least there's like comedic relief, or at least being able to connect with other people and just allowing your all experiences with the hard things to feel valid in some regard. On Friday, March 1st, we have another sprinkle of fairy dust starting our week with the Pisces Sun sextile Jupiter in Taurus, its ruler. And this is an ability to transmute and see the lesson. Again, on Wednesday, the lessons that were coming through with the Saturn Cazimi felt very harsh, felt very limited. It's a lot of resistance. This sucks. With the sextile to Jupiter, this is the whisper around, but could this be leading me to something better? Or could the universe have something better in store? This might be an important week to tune into, if not this, something better. And even if it sucks when there is resistance, or like, I really wanted this to work out, continue to rest within that knowledge. If not this, something better. Because that belief can be a self-fulfilling prophecy around just believing the universe must have something better in store, because it teaches your brain to start to look out for it. Again, it's important to cultivate this fishbowl of your brain around the waters that the fish of your brain are swimming in. Guys, this analogy is bizarre, but I hope you're feeling me on this. Because what it is that you are swimming in within your mind, it teaches your mind what to look out for within your experiences. What examples help affirm, see, I'm so divinely blessed and guided. See, I'm exactly where it is that I want to be. See, you start to look for proof around why you are blessed, around why you are exactly where it is that you are meant to be. Even if there are certain hard circumstances now, you're training your brain to look out for experiences that affirm this dominant mentality that you have within your brain, which is, I am being led by something bigger than myself. Wherever it is that I am is exactly where it is that I'm meant to be right now. And that's an important muscle to reach for. Again, sextiles are a soft influence, so it's not a given. You have an option to take Professor Jupiter's class. Okay, it's an elective class. It's not part of your major. You have an option, but I would definitely say get in that class. It can lead to a lot of growth, and it can help you manifest more magic this week. Something may not work out this week with the Saturn energy, and that might suck because you're like, this is what I wanted to happen. Why is this so hard? Why am I experiencing so much resistance? But with Sun sextile Jupiter, there's this opportunity around being able to tune into, I'm actually glad that didn't work out, because then I wouldn't have been here and I wouldn't have connected with this person and I wouldn't have done this. Like, there can be this energy with Sun sextile Jupiter around being able to see the wisdom that it wasn't a pleasant lesson to take on, but it did allow us to move into a better circumstance, or at least move forward in some regard. And with Sun sextile Jupiter, because Sun is ego and life force energy, start to see yourself as a lucky person. Affirm, I am a lucky person. Even in those moments that I'm experiencing rejection, that is protection. Even in those moments I am experiencing resistance, that is the universe's assistance. Like being able to see even what feels hard is the universe looking out for you. And the more you see yourself within that lens, the more luck is going to come your way, especially by the end of the week. So important to tune into that. Also on Friday, we have Venus sextile Chiron, which is a healing flow of energy into our hearts, into our values, into our finances, into our beauty. Because Venus is building to square Uranus, which has many manifestations, but one I want to bring forward here, there can be this energy, especially moving into the weekend, around just feeling too weird to be loved. I'm too weird to make friends. I'm too weird of a person. I have too many needs to fall in love. How could somebody want to be with me when I need all of this alone time, or I just want to read astrology books with every free moment? How could somebody love me with all of this nuance and all of these quirks and all of this weirdness? There could be waters that you're swimming in around who could love somebody like me. But with Venus sextile Chiron, it's like affirming, like who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to explore all of that nuance that I carry? Who wouldn't want a love or a relationship that is not cookie cutter? Who wouldn't love somebody who is not judgmental and celebrates the quirks within you as well? Who wouldn't want that? And with the Venus sextile Chiron, this is a soft flow of energy that asks you to open your heart towards forgiveness, acceptance, healing. And this may be something that you are extending to other people within your universe. And this may be something that you are extending to yourself, forgiving yourself. One manifestation I see coming through is forgiving yourself for financial mistakes. What's done is done. It is in the past. And you can always earn more money. Even if you spent money on headphones that broke in 2 weeks' time, it's annoying. You got the wisdom of the lesson that came from that experience. And oftentimes when we beat ourselves up around, I can't believe I did that, I can't believe I did that, we're wasting so much energy and time, and that's something that you cannot get back. And with Venus sextile Chiron, it's just not beating yourself up any longer. It's just what's done is done. You are still a human being who is worthy and is valuable. Even if you did make a financial mistake, stop beating yourself up. It's okay, it happens. Sometimes we have to pay a wisdom tax, right? Where we have to spend money and learn an expensive lesson. And it sucks, but it doesn't do you any good to continue beating yourself up around it. And that's one thread that's coming through your Friday. And so with Venus sextile Chiron, it's this invitation to open your heart to your weirdness and to your wildness and not judge yourself for it. Because when we move into the weekend, you may crave space to do your own thing and be your own person. With Venus square Uranus, you might feel like your partner is breathing too loud, existing too big. You might just be like, I just need some space to breathe. Venus is in an air sign after all. We need some space. We just need to have a moment to get back to marching to the beat of our own drum and being our own person. And if you're feeling that mount, rather than feeling shame or guilt around, why don't I want to be with my partner 24/7? Why do I crave doing my own thing or having my own interests? With Venus sextile Chiron, it's just making peace with the desires that you have within a relationship and not internalizing it, not making it a problem. It's simply a need, and the healthiest relationships exist when there are two people who are free to be their own people and do their own thing. And that does not make for a bad thing within a connection. Just don't judge it, because sometimes with Venus square Uranus, if we're not giving ourselves that space, that's when we can feel more frustrated or even be very cold and detached, simply because we're not listening to ourselves and our needs to get back to our own essence. And if you're observing that your lover, your partner, your crush is behaving a little bit more unusually, they're a little bit more cold, they're a little bit more detached, just knowing that it's Venus square Uranus. Try not to read into it. Again, we're all navigating our own Saturn stories, and it's just important not to assign all this meaning or be like, oh my God, they hate me. Just allow them the space to be. When it's meant to be, you guys will sync up and march to the beat of one another's drums once more. But sometimes we have to just go off and do our own thing, right? Drum solo, right? Marching to the beat of our own drum and trusting that the rhythms will align once more. It's just an important weekend not to feel that distance and then try to go in deeper and force closeness because you feel somebody pulling away. Just appreciate that relationships are this ebb and flow around coming apart and coming together and coming apart and coming together. It's Pisces season, so it's all about the flow. So try not to read into it. And with Venus sextile Chiron, try not to feel like their behavior says anything about you, because Venus speaks of beauty, it speaks of value. So when you feel your lover pull away, if you assign a story to it around, this means I'm not good enough, I need your attention or else I don't feel worthy. With Venus sextile Chiron, it asks you, how can I generate more of that validation within myself so that I don't feel that I need to get it all from this other individual? Other manifestations, you could just feel the soft flow of energy around appreciating your unique style, right? With Venus sextile Chiron, letting go of trends and deciding instead to wear what's making you feel good and what you feel accentuates your best qualities, or even what you feel like accentuates your worst qualities, but just owning it. Like sometimes I get self-conscious wearing tank tops just because I have this huge birthmark right here. I also have one on my lip, which is why I'm always wearing lipstick, because I've gotten so many comments about it. But I used to like not wear a lot of tank tops because I didn't want people to think it was a bruise, or, you know, in 5th grade they called me Hickey Haley because they said it was a hickey. It's just been part of me, and I used to hide it just because I was like, I just don't want the comments, I just don't want to deal with it. But lately I've just been really loving my little strawberry. I think she's cute. I love her. I love flaunting her. And that's the energy with Venus sextile Chiron. It's like this and being called Hickey Haley used to be something I was so embarrassed by, and now I just think it's really cute. I have a little strawberry on my arm. That's unusual. And there's beauty in what's unusual. Venus is in Aquarius. So if there are certain qualities that you typically hide, or certain parts of yourself that you typically hide, take it as an opportunity to flaunt it. It's unique. It's you. And Friday, from a lunar perspective, it definitely feels like a bit of a chaotic day. The Scorpio moon will square off with Venus, which can sometimes make us more prone to indulgences. Somebody might bring muffins to the office on Friday and you might eat 3. Like sometimes moon square Venus can make us overdo it when it comes to sweets. You can find you're more procrastinating, you're shopping instead of working. Okay, definitely be cautious with shopping this weekend with Venus square Uranus. You may buy headphones just to find in 2 weeks' time that they don't work at all. But then the moon opposes Uranus, so there can be elements of your day that are unexpected. Your emotions may feel quite volatile. There may be things that progress in unusual ways that you were not anticipating. But with the Scorpio moon then trining Neptune, it's just this acknowledgement around it may be messy, it may be chaotic, but it's all perfect in the higher perspective. Even if it was a messy day, with the trine to Neptune, it's like, I just need to work this muscle around trusting that it's all going to work out. That by the time I get to the office on Monday, that this issue will have straightened itself out. With the energy of Pisces, it's really working that muscle around, I'm just going to trust in something bigger than myself, and that all is playing out exactly as it should. And my job is to just work that muscle around handling what I can handle and letting go of the rest, like a deep surrender around whatever transpired today, whatever didn't transpire today, whatever you wanted to happen, whatever did happen. With the trine to Neptune, it's just allowing yourself to let go of whatever it is that you're ruminating about, or whatever didn't go according to plan, and just trusting that all will work itself out. And with the trine to Neptune, that occurs around 11:47 p.m. So it'd be a great evening to check out. Like even if work was crazy and things were hectic, watch a movie, get lost in an album, drink a glass of wine. There's just this energy with the trine to Neptune to go into your own little world. Okay, that is a coping strategy with Pisces season. And you can also find it's a great night for intuitive work. It's a great night for any sort of healing work. It can also be a great night for dream work. Your dreams can be quite vivid and quite fascinating. But at that point, the moon will be void. On Saturday, March 2nd, the moon will be void until it enters Sagittarius at 5:56 a.m. And like I was saying, with having the Pisces sun and the Scorpio moon, we were feeling everything. And with the moon in Sagittarius, we're just having this acknowledgement around it's not that deep. Like what could have felt very, very deep a couple days prior, all of a sudden with moon in Sagittarius, it's like, I know I was having like multiple meltdowns about that, but it's actually not that deep at all. Like there's just this ask for perspective, because Pisces season can be gifted about that around, yes, we're feeling things deeply, but there's also this acknowledgement around, in the grander scheme of things, this is not that big a deal, because that's what the energy of Pisces can be good for. Around, yes, feeling things deeply, but also widening our perspective and being like, in the grander scheme of things, this does not matter. Because that's what Pisces energy can be really great for, is tuning into, in the grander scheme of things, this does not matter. I have this precious lifetime on planet Earth at this particular moment in time, and I'm here stressing about files. Like, I need to go for a hike. I need to get lost in nature. I need to do something to remind myself that I am not this body. I am not this job. I am not these dishes. I'm not these errands. I am so much more. And this Saturday particularly would be a great day to get to that core truth within you, that you are so much more than just this particular moment that is in front of you. Again, Saturn energy midweek could have made you really have to confront your limitations, your restrictions, your challenges, your responsibilities. And it's important on Saturday to gain some perspective. Take the day off. Do anything but work. Like, you might be stressed about certain things with the Saturn energy, but sometimes the most productive thing that we could do is take a break, go for a hike, challenge yourself not to think about that ongoing problem or what's bothering you once. Because oftentimes we think of the most genius solutions when we give our brain the space to not think about it. So go for a hike, get lost in nature, do anything that helps you attune to the bigger scheme of things would be my advice on Saturday. But with the moon sextiling Pluto, it just feels like this could be something that feels empowering for you. And I do want to highlight, we are nearing the last quarter moon, which is the next day. And sometimes as we get closer and closer to the waning aspect, and just the Pluto energy also supports this, sometimes we can just have this call to let something go. Let something go. It's not that deep. Like, that's the energy with Moon and Sagittarius. It's like, it's not that deep. In this wide and wonderful world, it is not that deep for me to be holding on to this, whether it's this guilt or this story or these belongings. Like, feel the vitality that comes from releasing. Feel the vitality that comes from being free. This is not going to be the most romantic, cozy weekend. Okay, we've got a moon in Sagittarius. We've got Venus square Uranus. We're craving an adventure. We're craving space. We're craving an attunement to our own personal truth and what makes our souls feel connected to the something more. So your homework this weekend is to get closer to your own something more. Get closer to your soul. And on Saturday, the sextile to Pluto is the only moon aspect officially. But I do want to say in the evening time, with the Sagittarius moon squaring Saturn, there can be certain sensations of things feeling blah. Things feeling annoying. You want to feel free, but there's all of these challenges and hindrances. And honestly, the combination of this plus Venus square Uranus, you could just feel like a live wire. You could just feel restless. Everything could just feel wrong. You feel deeply unsettled. Everything that you're doing doesn't feel right. You're like, should I watch TV? And you try to watch TV, but that doesn't feel right. You try to read a book, and this isn't the right book that you want to read. You're like, should I go out? There's just this energy where you're feeling fundamentally unsettled. And wherever it is that you go, there you are. Like with the moon in Sagittarius, sometimes there could be this desire to want to run from our emotions. And with the square to Saturn, we're really being asked to face things this week. We really can't run. We can't hide, we can't run. We're really being asked to face things that are coming up. But just know, with the building square to Saturn, there could be certain sensations of something feeling a little blah and feeling somewhat restless or unsettled with the building Venus square Uranus. On Sunday, March 3rd, in the morning time, Venus in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus. And as I highlighted, this could be an energy around wanting and needing and craving our own space to do our own thing. And that is okay. It is okay to need the space to get back to who it is that you are. And with the Venus square Uranus, it's important to highlight that choosing yourself does not mean excluding other individuals. That was something I had to have many conversations around with my decision to travel solo. Is that it wasn't that I didn't want to travel with these people. It was that I wanted to travel with myself. It was an intentional decision that I really wanted to hang out with myself. I wanted to get to know myself. Because I think choosing to do things solo, you prioritize different things. You have different sort of conversations. You are open to different sorts of insights and ideas. It's very sacred time, and I don't think it should be seen as something negative or bad if you do need space in order to get to know yourself deeply. And with Venus square Uranus, you may be craving that within. And the thing is, if we're not listening to the whispers around, gosh, I just need an afternoon alone, or I just need to be with my own thoughts, if we don't listen to those whispers, if we say yes even when we mean no, then they can turn into screams. And all of a sudden, that space that we were craving, we haven't been giving ourselves that. So all of a sudden, we're behaving a little bit more erratically, or we're being a little bit more volatile in regards to our love life, which isn't a true reflection of how it is that we feel. We just have been betraying ourselves by not honoring and valuing really our relational needs. And so you can absolutely be feeling that within your experience. There can be unusual events within love this weekend. Like I said, your crush might be behaving a little cold or erratically. There can be unexpected events that happen within love. Like I said, Professor Uranus, you walk into class, you don't know what you're going to get. So definitely expect the unexpected when it comes to this weekend, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. When it comes to money and finances, you could win the lottery, or you could have to pay a really expensive dental bill. Venus square Uranus can honestly go either way. It's unexpected events around our finances. I chose something that was technology related because it's Venus in Aquarius within the vibe check. But essentially, you bought these headphones, and what it is that you got was different than what it is that you purchased, right? They broke in 2 weeks' time. This would not be the weekend that I would go out and buy something very important. Like with Venus square Uranus, you may not know what you're investing in. And there even could be an energy around spending money very willy-nilly or very impulsively. I also want to bring forward that with Venus square Uranus, there can be this energy around feeling different, feeling socially awkward, feeling like everything that you say at a social interaction is wrong. And again, you have Venus squaring Uranus and sextiling Chiron. So rather than framing everything the next morning around, gosh, I was so weird at that party, what did I say? With Venus sextile Chiron, it's just saying, I provided some entertainment at the party. I brought up the alien topic, I brought up the astrology topic. It's fun to have individuals who are different at a party. It provides necessary nuance and depth. How it is that we frame situations matters. I also want to highlight on Sunday that after midnight, the moon squares Saturn. So there definitely could just be certain feelings of just like yuckiness or just feeling ugh about things building within your soul. And then we have the last quarter moon Sunday morning as well. This is called the crisis of faith moon phase. And you know, it's easy to have faith when everything's going right, when everything's manifesting, when everything's magic. It's a lot harder to have faith when things are going wrong, when things are challenging. It's hard to work that muscle when there are challenging experiences around, okay, from a higher perspective, everything is working out perfectly. Like I just need to trust that even though it's frustrating and annoying, I need to trust that the divine has a bigger plan. I need to trust the lessons that I'm learning currently, and I need to have faith, and I need to work that muscle of faith. And there definitely could be certain battles between the head and the heart, and what feels good versus what makes sense, just with the Sagittarius moon squaring Mercury. But I definitely feel like doing something that you love, something that makes you passionate with the Sagittarius moon sextiling Venus and Mars will feel healing with the trine to Chiron. So really great weekend to get back to yourself, get back to your own sensation of faith, get back to what opens you up to make you feel connected to something bigger than yourself. What is that for you? Is that music? Is that movies? Is that nature? Do more of that. There can be an energy with all the Saturn around, is this what life is about? Life is about dental bills, and life is about headphones that break and flat tires. And this weekend, it's so important to listen to that call from your soul around no. Remember your own sense of meaning. Remember what makes you feel connected to something bigger. Because when you have that perspective, the lessons in life school, even the unpleasant Saturn ones, you see it as just that. This is a lesson in life school, and I'm going to ace this test. I see what's being brought forward. I see where I am being asked to rise to the challenge, and I'm going to ace this test because I see it as a necessary step within my own evolution. It may not be pleasant, but at least I'm learning. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I rise to the occasion. When we have Saturn energy midweek, there can just be the sensation around everything feels 10 times harder. And this could be physical limitations that you are experiencing within your journey. There can be spiritual challenges that you are wrestling with. Things can feel challenging. And with the energy of Pisces season, there can sometimes be this temptation to just give up or to be like, life just hates me, and to just escape into our own world and just ignore where life is challenging us. But the ask of this week is to look the challenges square in the face and rise to the occasion around, this is a challenging situation, but I'm strong, I'm tough, I've got this. I've been doing my spiritual push-ups. I've been hitting the emotional regulation gym. I've been working this muscle of discernment. Whatever it is that you've been working towards, allow the challenges of this week's astrology to put those tools to the test. The time is now. My loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and drop the little lined paper emoji with a little pencil to let me know that you made it to the end, or utilize the word test within a sentence. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I apologize that this Magic Monday was a bit of a mess, what with the noise. There was also many hindrances. I don't want to bore you with the details, but one thing I just want to highlight is I always giggle at how the energy of the week of astrology that I'm chatting about never fails to weave itself into my experience of filming Magic Monday. Like I said, Saturn weeks, they can sometimes be hard, and the process of filming this was quite hard. Everything was going wrong. This is a brand new Airbnb. I just got here today. Like I said, I was waiting in the lobby for 2.5 hours, so that set my filming back, and then it turns out that not all outlets work. So I had thought that the other camera battery was charging, but not every outlet worked, so it wasn't charging, and so that also delayed my filming, and just many other difficulties and hurdles that I won't bore you with the details on. But oh, gotta love Saturn. Gotta love when you are just tested by the universe, but it always feels good to pass the universe's tests. So I'll see you next week. I'll be back in the Cosmic Corner, which I have mixed emotions around. I definitely miss the Cosmic Corner, but I'm just not ready for my Thailand chapter to be over. It's such a magical place. If you ever get the opportunity to travel to Thailand, please take the opportunity. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.